All right, good night, everybody. So we're talking the Snyderverse. As you can see from the title, we're going to be looking at Zack Snyder's Justice League. Unbelievable. Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we're going to look at different aspects with the state of Warner Brothers, what is Zack Snyder's trilogy, and how did that trilogy look now currently. We'll also look at RayFisher's interview and several other things we're going to look at here today. Now, this is a stream where you can hop on. So if you want to be a guest, just click on the link here and you can join the chat. And hope you enjoy this brief moment here. We're just going to discuss a couple of things. So the first thing is, of course, you can stay in the chat if you want to, but you can be a guest on the program as well. All right, that's how we're going to move and do things around. All right, so the first thing you're looking at here is we're going to talk about Zack Snyder's trilogy so far. All right, we're going to talk about his trilogy, and there's a lot to say about this. I was looking at some other movies that are coming out. I remember some movie that came out called The Boys, I think it is, on Netflix, I believe, and now there's another movie coming out. It's Jupiter's something, Jupiter Rises or something like that. And those two movies basically pitch the idea that superheroes are perfect, and it's there's not no such reality that we face today with our heroes like that. Um, there's several different things I want to say because while I know Zack Snyder sort of revolutionized the game in terms of heroes and the fact that um, Zack Snyder's not one of those typically trivial kind of people. He really explores the characters, he explores the heroes that he's dealing with, and he goes in a deep dive into them. I believe a lot of people took on the surface away from this the idea that Zack Snyder's heroes were corrupted or they weren't perfect, and as a result of that, they think that Zack Snyder's heroes, are like the boys or are like this movie that's coming out, Jupiter, whatever, on Netflix. That's not what Zack Snyder was about. Yes, he was just deconstructing the heroes in the sense that he was putting them in situations, well-known heroes in situations where uh, they had to deal with real-world problems like we do. But to say that Zack Snyder was typically trying to uh, sort of portray these heroes in a controversial way, I disagree 100%. That's not what he was trying to do at all. And we see that now when we see Justice League. Now, there's several different things I want to say about it. But first of all, just these three movies, and we could talk at length about this, but just these three movies, in my opinion, show the depth, scope, and the hero's journey of several of these lead characters. Right? You know, we've seen Batfleck or Batman's journey. Of course, there's more journey before that point, but we've seen him, in BVS, and we've seen him in Suicide Squad. As imperfect as that movie is, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we've seen, and we've also seen him in Justice League with criminals. If you think about it, think about the scene that you saw him with the criminal in Justice League. Okay, where at the end in the epilogue we saw Batman apprehending criminals. Right, they were the mutants. Right, but he apprehended them even though he had this big ass tank. And it's a shout out, of course, it's a shout back, it's a call back to the Dark Knight Returns. But you know, you see him, and he is apprehending criminals. So he comes full circle back to the Batman that we know, but with a lot more experience, right? And having dealt with super powered beings, and so on and so on and so on, and having more hope and faith, and having made a big difference. You know, in Batman v Superman, he said, "This one thing that I do, which was to kill Superman, is the one thing that matters." And strangely enough, ironically, he really did the one thing that matters in Justice League, adopting the vein, the hope, the faith that Superman had in the goodness of humankind. He was able to accomplish that, at least temporarily, uh, in Justice League. So isn't that kind of ironic that the quest he was on in BVS was just misplaced, but when he put that quest into the right direction, it was able to fulfill that in Justice League, which I thought was just enormous, you know. But Snyder comes from a totally different perspective than what these movies right now are putting out there. And this is the thing I wanted to talk about. That a lot of people think that his trilogy, you know, when we see the trilogy in the whole, but we look at the Snyderverse, people were calling it the Murderverse, they were calling it all kinds of things. But now when we take a look at it from the perspective of these three movies, it looks much more complete. In fact, I saw an article online that was talking about how the Zack Snyder's Justice League makes BVS look a lot better, right? There was an article that was put out on that. I want to say that I believe that this trilogy does a whole lot more than the plethora of movies I've seen with Marvel in the MCU, with even the great Unbreakable series, because this movie helps us to see that our heroes, when burdened with the great responsibilities that they have upon their shoulders, can rise to the occasion when necessary. Think about this. Man of Steel began with a hero who stepped out of the shadows. Anonymously, he was helping people. He went by different aliases, Joe, etc. Now, Joe is actually his name. He's Joseph. So he went by his Joe. It wasn't really an alias. The point is, anyway, move from place to place. But the one thing about Clark Kent, aka Kal-El, was that Kal-El cannot stop helping people. And we hear Louis Lane talk about this. His nature is to help others with the gifts that he has. He's been trained that way by his family, and he's been raised that way. So the question was never whether would Kal-El ever become somebody who would help other people. That was never the question. The question was, will Kal-El know when it's appropriate to help other people? And also, would Kal-El know how to deal with situations where after you help people, you end up in a situation that might be worse than if you didn't help them? And I think in BVS particularly, we see that where Kal-El, no fault of his own, but ends up in worse and worse situations just because he's trying to help. And of course, he had the discussion with himself and recollecting, I guess, his father's words and so on to him, where he recalls his father talking about the horse situation and flooding and moving the water downstream. You backed it up, prevent a barrier, and it affected a farm downstream, which really radically hurt them. And how do you get through those circumstances, right? So BBS, when it comes to Superman, um, really matured him to the point of he was corrected to the point of death. Okay. Um, and of course, Superman works totally on faith and he creates hope for other people. So you can see how Zack Snyder really shaped. He showed you the birth of Superman pretty much, and then he showed you the trials of Superman and the purging of Superman, the perfecting of Superman, the perfecting of who he would be. And he was tried to the point of death. To me, this is great. Now, of course, the Superman stories continued in Justice League. And to a high extent, I find this really great because you hear Superman said he has a second chance. He's not going to throw it away when he was talking to Lewis. And you also see Superman getting back in touch with his history, his past, getting back in touch with his mom. And it was really great seeing the reunion of them all, even as the clock is ticking. And then we see Superman, who has encountered death and his mortality, and he stands up to Steppenwolf. In fact, he's willing. This is the amazing thing about Superman. He was willing to take Steppenwolf's, electro axe on his shoulder. How did he know he could take it? I don't know, but I found it really amazing. And then the other thing I thought was, okay, so people say, Superman, he behaved excessively violent. He was just beating the crap out of Steppenwolf. Yeah, but Steppenwolf's a threat. And I don't think people really watch the cartoons or the comics. Superman beat the crap out of Darkseid. That was in JLA. That was in the animation, the animated series. Okay. Superman beat the crap out of Steppenwolf in the animated series. Okay, he had lost some powers. Superman's always beating the crap out of people. Another thing I hear people say is, Superman needs to smile and he needs to be jovial. Listen, man. Listen. Let's be real. Okay. You watch at JLA. Superman is not smiling in JLA. He's about it. He's about it. Superman's a matter of fact kind of guy, and he's about it. You look at Superman in the comics. He's about it. He's about it. Yes, he smiles sometimes. But for the most part, if you think about Superman, he's very inspiring, but he's about it. I think about, listen. When I think of the Transformers cartoons, I never saw them telling jokes. When I think about G.I. Joe, which is a Marvel thing, there were no jokes in G.I. Joe. Very few. When I saw I'm thinking of all the animated stuff, He-Man and She-Ra. There were no jokes. There was some comical moments with certain characters, but there wasn't jokes straight through the movie. Right? So when people say, well, Zack Snyder, he's not making a movie with a lot of jokes. I mean, come on, man. Blade never had a whole bunch of jokes. Okay? Unbreakable didn't have a whole bunch of jokes. Okay? I'm just thinking of comic book movies here. Sin City didn't have a lot of jokes. Shit. I mean, come on, man. You think about it, you really pay attention. Now, if you go to the Cartoon Network with Teen Titans, that's a funny thing. They're making jokes. It's a spook. It's a parody. But there are very few. I mean, okay, there was a new series with Batman and Wonder Woman, and that came out somewhere in 2016, and it was much more funny. It was funnier, but again, that was Cartoon Network. But for the most part, Justice League cartoons, Batman cartoons. They're not funny. Okay, Superman cartoons are not funny. They're inspiring, but they're not funny. It's not jokes, jokes, jokes. That's why I said Warner Brothers trying to become Marvel with their DC franchise is stupid. And don't tell me it's like they're animated, because the animated both the animated movies are brutal to start with, and then the animated series that they used to have, JLA and all these other things, were serious. They weren't funny. There weren't jokes everywhere. So I don't understand. Like I'm trying to understand where this joke stuff come from. Marvel brought in the jokes, and they go with the emotions and stuff. But for the most part, man, you know, DC don't do jokes like that. DC has always been serious. They have serious stakes on the characters. And if you think about it, if you really think about it, the CW has jokes. Okay, but they're Marvel people, writers who write for the CW. All right. Smallville didn't have a lot of jokes. Think about Smallville. Smallville didn't have a lot of jokes. This joke stuff. We must have jokes and we must giggle and laugh. Like, where do these people come with these ideas from? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Life isn't a thing where you hee hee ha ha all the way through it. So why would we need that? Okay. So I never quite understood that, and why people think that if it's not Marvel, it's not good or whatever. I don't get it. I really don't. Um, so anyway, the point is that the trilogy is something that I think is just extraordinary. Let me just repeat again, guys. So you can be a guest on this show. Hop on. Anybody can come through. Anybody can come through. The only thing is you mute your mic and you be respectful, and that's all to it. But hop on. I know somebody's going to pop on before the night is over, and people are going to come through here before the night is over. But I just want to, keep you guys. And so Zack Snyder's trilogy. What about it? So the first thing that I think a lot of people need to understand is Zack Snyder has stayed true to the comics, and he's also stayed true to the animated series and the animated stuff, as well as true to the video games. I was hearing some people saying this afternoon on Abdul's channel. I was saying that Warner Brothers needs to make movies directly from the material, and the animated series is doing that. The animated series is doing that, and it's still not doing a great job of it, to be honest with you. Killing Joke was not accurate to the actual comic, in my opinion, and neither was The Dark Knight Returns. But it is cool. My point, anyway, is that they can do that. But when it comes to movies generally they don't go straight with. They never go straight with the comic. Not even Watchmen did that. All right, it stayed kind of true to the material, but it didn't stay. It didn't go exactly as the Watchmen comic was. The graphic novel, right? 300 is the same thing. But the point is, at the end of the day, whether you want to put those things to screen or not, I prefer to have a reimagining and a good take on the characters. And so far, I really enjoyed Superman, because Superman is, for the first time, I could actually enjoy Superman. Okay. And I heard some people say, the characters in Justice League didn't have a full arc. Aquaman didn't have a full arc, and only the Flash and Cyborg had full arcs. First of all, I don't believe that. That's bullshit. Right? Batman had a full arc. He began looking for and getting members of the team together, and he succeeded in doing that at the end. He also succeeded in the gamble to bring back Superman. So there's a full arc with Batman. There's a full arc with the Flash, because the Flash begins. We see him persisting in visiting his father and looking for ways to exonerate him from a crime he didn't commit. And by the end, and his father was trying to dissuade him from doing that. And by the end of the movie, not only did he take to heart some of what his father said, and what Bruce Wayne said, but he also was able to continue on the path he was going with the confidence that he could do it, and he followed through with his plan to the end. Then we look at Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's arc was on finding out that there was a threat to the world, and the fact that she can't go back to to Themyscira. She she begins her quest to team up with Batman and get the team together to help Batman get the team together. She also succeeds in doing so, and her arc swings all the way across to mentoring the team and getting the team prepared, confident enough, right? So she was kind of focused on Cyborg, uh, Aquaman. She was focused on those two, and Bruce more dealt with the Flash. When you look at uh, Aquaman's arc is an interesting one as well. It begins with him being against Atlantis, even though he's coming down into Atlantis and visiting, a statue, a memorial of the King of Atlantis. And he refuses, at first he refuses to take up the responsibility of being a king of Atlantis. And then you can see him more and more embracing it as the threat that threatened Atlantis, he was able to handle on the surface and be an assistant. And he became a team player, and he was very instrumental in taking down Steppenwolf. So you can see that each character had an arc. You also had, and of course, at the end, he meets Volcro. He talks with him. He looks at Mira, and then he goes his way. And if you look at Aquaman, picks up from that point. He reaches home. He meets his father. They greet. They go to the pub, and they drink and they talk. And I'm coming out of the pub. This is when Mira comes to approach Aquaman again to tell him, about the threat of Orm once again, and they pick up from there, right? So fantastic. There were some changes to the plot and so on, but that's what it is. Now, with respect to Zack Snyder's trilogy, so all the characters had an arc, but most of the characters that we were introduced to in BVS, they had much more complete arcs in Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? But the point I was making was that, Superman had a certain arc. When we pick up with Batman and Batman v Superman, he had an arc, quite an extensive arc that you can actually take his arc from Batman v Superman and work your way all the way into the Justice League. And Wonder Woman had a beautiful arc. Of course, the prep for her from Wonder Woman 84 and Wonder Woman, the movie, kind of helped also supplement some of her stuff because we've seen her in 2 other movies before that. But her arc is sufficient for Justice League, right? And people say, well, these characters didn't have enough arcs. No, they did. They had sufficient arcs. People say that, the movie, I heard one person in commenting about the movie very negatively. That person speaks about how the movie is without heart, without and is bland and is colorless. And I'm like, I don't know what this person's talking about. But you have to take everything with a pinch of salt. But the trilogy, what I like about the trilogy, like I said before, is the values of the characters and how people behave and how they interface with each other. We weren't seeing superheroes as superheroes. We were seeing them as people. And I thought that was really awesome. It's not that they weren't awesome as superheroes. It's not, again, the focus was not so much on their powers, even though we see their powers on display. And some phenomenal stuff was going on with the Flash, especially, what can we say? The Flash made the story. The Flash made the film. That last scene where he turned back time was just so phenomenal. Seeing him vibrate so rapidly his body's vibrating so rapidly as the explosion happens and the buildings and stuff blow away from it. And then you see the kind of like the epic explosion, the real explosion coming. The first in an explosion you have like a outer blast, and then you have the real thing that's coming. And he, so much physics behind that. And then we see him just take off into, and you can see like the earth is being peeled off, like it's peeling off, and he just steps. He really takes off like a bullet and starts to reverse time, and you see everything kind of coming back, the footing on, just so for I've never seen anything like this. I don't think anybody's ever seen that in cinema. It's just so phenomenal how he's running on like what seems to be nothing, and as every time he steps, something comes into existence. It's just so crazy, and he's like running ahead of everything. So things are like forming and existing as he's running by. It's just it's phenomenal. And then the way how it's shot, you see him running into his future almost, and it's just so remarkable. Even this movement, I mean, it's just remarkable. It's just remarkable, and it's a very emotional moment, obviously, because he's absorbing what his father said, and it's making sense. It's like he's getting this eureka moment, this moment of in self actualization. It's remarkable. I mean, just the way how that whole thing just went down. And then to see it from his point of view, like he's talking and there's all these echoes going on. And then you see him running, and you can see the hands blurring and everything. So his world, the way how he sees things in his world is remarkable. And all of this is happening in less than a second, right? And Zach's able to like give you all these details, and it's just great. It's just remarkable. So, um, you know, uh, uh, that whole moment was so summarized. It almost summarized everything about the Justice League. It summarized the whole journey of these heroes. The Flash's moment summarized so much. It's just extraordinary. Once again, to be a guest on here, just click the StreamYard link. We're getting into some other topics, don't worry. So, Zack Snyder's trilogy, what do you guys think about that? The trilogy. There's many overlapping themes. There's many um, continuous lines. I mean, Martian Manhunter was there since Man of Steel. It's just so incredible just to think about that continuity right there. Um, of course, we had Martha Kent's tremendous story, in the flow of her story. Louis Lane, who's been there since Man of Steel. We had who else was there since Man of Steel? Uh, Bruce Wayne was there in Man of Steel, but we never saw him. We just saw a teaser of his businesses. Um, you know, it's just remarkable to see the continuity of certain things, you know. Um, and as I'm saying that, one of the things that we should be pushing for is to see the deleted version, the completed deleted version of the Green Lantern and Zack Snyder's Martian Manhunter and Batman. That it was supposed to be three of them. I remember Mr. Faruqi talking about that, and also, mind you, not only Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern show up, but the movie was supposed to have that at the end, like I said. Of course, this movie probably wouldn't have been 4 hours long. Zach just put extra stuff into it, but the thing about it is, when I think about these scenes that I heard people talking about, fans talked about it, and Faruqi wrote on it. Shahid Faruqi brothers from Comic Book Debate. It's just so amazing that at the end of all that's said and done, they are still, Warner Brothers is still trying to marginalize people of color. So it's not like they didn't do enough damage, right? The actor that was playing, you know, the guy who will become the Atom, he was out of the movie. You took out about 8 or 9 people of color were removed from the movie. And then, of course, we had 3 white guys who were in the movie, who were removed from the movie, but that's because they were linked to the New Gods. I mean, why is it that that happens? And then you insert only strictly white people, right? The Russian family, uh, the guys who were kicking down the fruit and stuff, and everybody knows the beginning of Justice League. You have the uh the guy that shows up in the prison and the Flash draws on his face. You know, I mean, come on, man. The thief that was on the roof. I mean, come on, man. Why? Why whitewash the movie? Like you see these tropes in Hollywood, and then after that they talk about there's no racism in Hollywood. Come on, man. Come on, man. But we need to see Wayne T. Carr, his performance as the Green Lantern. Let's see him on the screen. Let's see him. And I hope that Zack Snyder, AT&T, makes it possible for Zack Snyder to show that. I think it should be shown. I think people should see it once it's completed. It should be seen and shown. I don't give a damn what Warner Brother Pictures particularly say, because I don't respect them. I think that, like RayFisher said, these people shouldn't be in leadership. I think they should be have some other post or position, but not leadership. And Toby Emmerich needs to go. You know, what's Toby Emmerich done? That's good and profitable. Some people say, well, he delivered $1 billion movie in Aquaman. Okay, what else? He tried to sabotage um, the Joker movie. Why is he there? Why are these guys there? They just take occupying space. Get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect, but AT&T, you guys need to get rid of those guys. They're not doing anything. They're just placeholders. You know. Anyway, they'll have a meeting and we'll see what happens. So, Zack Snyder's trilogy so far, Truth 31, what's up, man? What's up? I watch your channel all the time. Yeah, man, it's good stuff. Good stuff. We're just talking on here. If you want to join in as a guest, we're talking about a number of things, but we're talking about basically current news. Restore the Snyderverse, Zack Snyder's trilogy, RayFisher's interviews, Warner Brothers and the position they're in. And I was just talking about Zack Snyder's trilogy so far. I haven't really gotten too far into it. But the next move is to talk about restoring the Snyderverse. You know what I mean? And why restore the Snyderverse, first of all? Why is that important? Well, there are not many storytellers who are willing to take on, first of all, the challenging movies and the challenging questions. I mean, Zack Snyder is a guy who has done it time and time again. Did it with Watchmen. He did it with 300. He's done it with Man of Steel, BVS, and now Justice League. He's taken on the tough task of doing movies. These tremendous mythological stories. Okay? So he's got people hungry and interested. And the nice thing about Zack Snyder is, even when, the movie wasn't in theaters or anything, Zack Snyder's throwing little tidbits and little stuff. It's just the fun stuff. Like, if you love reading comic books, you would love what Zack Snyder's doing. How you just throw these little nuggets at you and make you think and guess. And even to this day, a lot of stuff we still haven't gone through, concerning these movies, and we're scouring the movies to get more and more information on them. But restore the Snyderverse is important, because if you don't restore it, you're going to lose a lot of fans. You're going to lose a substantial portion of your audience. And quite frankly, that's not the way to go out here. You want to have as much DC fans and as high a width of DC fans as possible. the nice thing about DC is it's very wide and vast. Now the small screen, they got CW, you know, and it's, I mean, I'm not complaining with CW. I look at Lewis and Clark, and sorry, not Lewis, Clark, Superman and Lewis. It ain't too bad, you know what I'm saying? Let's welcome the Truth up in the building. The Truth, what's up, my brother?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We're just talking a little bit about restore the Snyderverse. We're talking about Zack Snyder's trilogy so far. So
Awesome.
far.
I just
So
subscribed to your channel, so I like what you do, man. And thank you for watching my videos, man. It's awesome. Thank you.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I like what you're doing, man. And we need more of us to be doing this stuff all over,
Absolutely.
you know, YouTube and social media. New media, you can call us new media. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
there we go.
It's not just Zack Snyder, but I'm just saying, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
New media.
People
You
who keep
know,
it real. I got you.
for real, we need that. Because you know what? I'll be honest with you. You know, the critics, nobody makes movies for the critics.
No.
Let's be real. They make it for the general audience. They make it for the audience. We are the audience. So we really should be the ones to speak with any kind of validity on a movie. I mean, critics, that's their job, no doubt
Yeah,
about it. But for the general audience, we don't care about all these specific things like story and all of that. If it's good, it's good.
yeah,
We just
exactly.
enjoy it, you know.
Exactly.
You know. So I'm just saying, you know, it's more important that we sometimes take up these positions and roles. It's really nice to see it on social media. I remember back in the day, 2016, BVS came out. Man, I just killed it with videos because I was like, this ain't right. This is wrong. I'm just lying. This is not right.
It's funny because when I first saw BVS, I hated BVS when I saw it in theaters. I was like, yo, and this is
For
coming from,
real?
yeah, I was coming from Man of Steel, and Man of Steel to this day is still my
Right.
number one DCU film.
Oh,
So I
really?
was, yeah, oh
Oh,
yeah, to this day I love Man of Steel. So going into BVS, I was like, oh, here we go, baby. This is gonna top Man of Steel for me. We got Batman up in here. Here we go. And then I
right.
saw it. I was
Right.
just like, what is this? I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
not for
yeah.
me. And then,
There was a
but then the
couple.
Ultimate Edition came out. The Ultimate Edition came out, and I was like, and then I
Right,
saw
right,
that. I was like, oh, okay, now this makes sense. Now things are starting
right.
to go into play, and it took a while for me to really appreciate what BVS was doing. So, but now I love BVS. Now I was like, yo, this movie's awesome. But at first, I was like, no, no, no,
But just imagine you now looking at BVS from the lens of Justice League and Man of Steel to see
yeah,
how it fits together. That's when it really unfolds. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? But for me, I love the BVS because it was film noir, and for
mm,
me, I don't like the usual route and boring way how people make films. Okay, I
yeah,
really Hollywood has just one kind of. So when BVS came out, one, it wasn't linear. It was like you have to piece together a puzzle. It was like a thriller. The
yeah,
way how the theatrical was made, and of course, people were looking for a kick up. They thought a lot of people think. See, Zach's not one of those simple-minded people. That's what I try to
yeah,
explain to people. Like Zach has he like you hear some one word, one sentence, and that sentence means three different things.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like that's how Zach, that's how Zach does his thing.
yeah,
So it was like when I was blown away by BVS. I left the cinema smiling because I filled in the gaps and what people call plot holes because
yeah,
I hate when people talk about plot holes because sometimes visually Zach is showing you what it is. He
yeah,
don't have to always verbally say something. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And so he show you what it is. Or
yeah.
the clever thing with Lex Luthor. I know some people didn't like Lex Luthor. I didn't like Lex Luthor actually. I hated
I,
him, but I was
I
afraid.
warmed up to it.
I never liked him, and I still
Yeah,
don't
oh
like
no, I
him to
never
this
liked him.
day. I don't like him. No, no, no. I don't like him. I don't like Jesse Eisenberg played the perfect hateable villain.
Yeah,
Do you know? Were you born in the eight? You weren't born in the 80s, were you?
late 80, 87.
You ever heard of Dallas?
The TV show, yeah,
Yeah. All right.
yeah,
You remember JR?
yeah. Who shot Jr.? Yeah, yeah, I know that.
JR was the most hated character in Dallas.
Yeah,
Nobody, all the audience people never liked JR. They hated him, right?
yeah,
That's the same way I feel about Lex Luthor. I don't like him.
yeah,
I really don't.
yeah,
Everything about him rubs me the wrong way. until I saw him how the lengths to which he would go to get his way.
Yeah, he's
And then
evil.
I was terrified of him.
Yeah.
He scared me,
Yeah, he's evil.
and then to see Superman, he had Superman under his control. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you see this crazy kind of annoying sort of funny character, and you just don't realize how like evil the guy really is. He's
Yeah.
like the most scary guy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Out of all the people, even all the adversaries of the Justice League, I think he's the worst.
Yeah.
The Joker's crazy, right? But the Joker's not like the Joker will do crazy things, but he doesn't go to the lengths to which Lex Luthor would. He brought down Darkseid. He basically brought Darkseid to Earth.
Yeah.
This sicko brought Darkseid to Earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The man's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Joker wouldn't do something like that.
No.
So I think he's the ultimate villain. I think he succeeded. He killed Superman. That's what he wanted to do, and he got rid of him. So I mean, that there's certain characters in Justice League that I hate, but I respect. So
Yeah.
I hate him. But yeah, I could see what you're saying. A lot of people were disappointed. One lady, when she saw that Superman died, she said, "I hate this movie because they killed Superman."
Yeah, I was
You know what
shocked
I
that
mean?
they killed Superman. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
I was like, if they could get rid of Superman, nobody is assured
Yeah.
in this
Nobody's
universe.
safe. I like that though.
Yeah, it's dicey. You just never know. I actually thought Batman was going to kill Superman. I thought he
Yeah, I
was going
thought
to kill
so
him
too. Yeah, because
in the
I,
movie.
I I don't know how you feel about Ben Affleck's Batman, but he's my favorite Batman so far. I love Ben Affleck. I think he
Yeah,
captured the more sinister, scary version of Batman,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's nice to see that evolution of the character from BVS to Zack Snyder's Justice League, where he's the more hopeful, optimistic Batman again. I really like that
Right,
character progression.
right. Yeah, actually, at the end of the movie, like I was saying, he actually captured criminals and had them tied up in front of the tank.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't he wasn't uh he wasn't taking no prisoners
No, no, no.
kind of thing, like what he was doing at BBS.
Oh,
He
BBS,
was
that's your ass.
oh man, he was dread,
Yeah, I
and
like
he had
that
the
though.
music dun 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 dun, the killing of BBS, man.
Oh
I
yeah,
ain't gonna lie, he meant business. But I really enjoy Zack Snyder's DCEU so far. I think you do too.
yeah.
What I want to ask you is, what got you attached to Man of Steel? Were you a Superman fan before Man of Steel, or were you kind of on the fence, kind of like,
Well,
what happened?
as a kid, I was always a big fan of the Batman animated series. I grew up with that, and I grew up with the Superman animated series, the Bruce Timm versions. And
Right.
of course, as you get older, you get with girls, you sort of fall out of comics. You're like, okay, well, this is a little childish. So for a while, I
Right.
never read comics again. I was just like, okay, well, like, this is just not for me. And then I saw
Right.
Man of Steel. And when I saw Man of Steel, I was just like, wow, like that really brought me back into reading comics again. Like it made me a bigger Superman fan than I was. And it got me back into reading DC comics again. And I just loved the more I don't know, like for me, it was the first time that they actually took the character of Superman serious. Like it was a more grounded,
Right.
realistic approach. Like what would happen if Superman actually existed in this world? And Zack Snyder, obviously, he's the king of visuals. Like every shot in the movie is just so
Right.
beautiful. Like every frame, I love the way he captures Superman's cape just flowing in the wind. Like the cape is almost a
Right.
character in itself. And like
Right.
yeah, I saw Man of Steel 6 times in theaters. Six
Me
times.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
me too.
that goes to show you, like, yo, like I don't know, like it just reinvigorated my love for DC Comics again. So it got me back into. Now I'm like collecting comics like left and right because thanks to Man of Steel.
Wow.
Yeah. So Man of Steel,
Wow.
I think that's why Man of Steel always has a special place in my heart because that's what got me back into DC Comics again. So I love Man of Steel.
I hear that. I hear
Yeah,
that. Actually, I saw all of the Superman movies, right? I
yeah,
saw
me
Christopher
too.
Reeves Superman 1979, then Superman 1980, what was it, two?
Yeah,
Then 83, then 84, the four of them. And then I saw also Superman Returns.
yeah,
Now, to be honest with you, I loved Superman 1979,
yeah, me
but
too.
like you, I outgrew that stuff, right? I was
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
and then because when you're younger, you want to dive off of chairs and
Yeah,
stuff. You if you could, you would climb on top of the house and dive off the house and stuff, trying to be
yeah,
Superman, right?
yeah,
So, but as you get older, like it's like real issues and real life hits you, and you're like, oh, okay, that was cool, but
yeah,
it's time. That's like Santa Claus and stuff. And then I think Superman Returns. I I really like what Singer was trying to do, but I
yeah,
wish he had done more of what he was trying to do. I get the feeling that he didn't get to do what he really wanted to do. They pitched him that no, he needs to have this relationship with Lewis, and you got to make it kind of like romantic, and it'll get the female, the woman out to watch it, and it backfired.
yeah.
So
It didn't work.
yeah, I mean, because Superman Returns, to be honest with you, some of it is good,
Hmm.
but most of it, I just can't vibe with it because it's like Superman just he's too soft.
Yeah. And he looks like a kid. He doesn't look like Superman to me. He looks way too young
Right.
to me.
Like even Christopher Reeve's Superman still didn't throw down. Like Zack got Superman to
Yeah,
do what the animated Superman movies, the
yeah,
animated Superman movies and series did.
yeah,
Superman used to when Superman punch you, he punch you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You just didn't end up seeing that, right? So when I
yeah,
saw, I think what roped me in was the fact that for the first time I heard on screen, at least, I heard him talk about the symbol on his chest meaning hope,
yeah,
right? So that kind of roped me in. And then on seeing the movie and seeing him growing up, certain aspects of his, growing up and having to deal with the adversity of having such great abilities,
mhm,
and yet you have to control yourself. You have to have discipline
yeah,
in using those abilities. Kind of like what you were hearing with Cyborg's father speaking, Silas speaking to Cyborg, saying, "Yeah, you got all these abilities, but you got to know when to use them, when not to use that kind of thing."
yeah,
So, that there to me, the violent part of the movie didn't interest me enough, even though it was great. I mean,
hmm.
Smallville scene was like one of the greatest action scenes I've ever seen. But
Oh yeah, I love
I
it.
mean, the it wasn't so much the violence in the movie. It was the parts of the movie that actually were dramatic and developmental that I really love about that movie, because
Mhm.
it showed us how somebody who's different but has such unlimited abilities,
Yeah,
how they can be victimized for being so different,
yeah,
and how alienating that can be.
hmm.
And so I found that to be something that was very powerful in the story. It made me cry. I cried a couple times in the movie.
Yeah,
Yes, I do cry.
yeah. That's
But
all right.
no, because as a Christian, I'm a Christian. As a
Okay.
Christian, sometimes you feel alienated when you don't identify with any particular group of
Yeah,
people, and your language is sort of strange to some people. So it's really weird. So I really totally identify with that aspect of it as well as the many difficulties he had with his identity. He didn't really know who he was,
yeah,
and he had to find out who he was, and and just how rewarding that was, that he went back to his adopted mother
yeah,
to tell her the good news that he found out who he was and all this
yeah.
stuff. So I mean, to me, it was a sort of a journey you were going with this person,
Hmm.
and not thinking of them as an alien, not thinking of them as human, just thinking of them as a person, an
Yeah,
individual. You were going on that journey. I think he that's what he did with the movie, man. That made it such a different movie to all the other Superman films I've ever seen.
yeah.
All. I don't think any of them ever covered that kind of stuff. So,
No, it
you know,
doesn't feel like a Superman movie at all.
No,
if it was more like a science fiction film than a Superman film, which is unique.
right.
I like that.
Yeah. But you know it's a Superman film because you see
Yeah,
him do Superman things.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
Um, and I like how he even introduces him. He introduces him like an ordinary guy on a boat.
yeah,
You know, he's
yeah,
working. He's an ordinary guy on a boat, and then all of a sudden, the extraordinary stuff starts to happen.
yeah.
You know, the guy's looking back to see if he could bring me my binoculars, and but before you can say what, done swim down to the gonna swim down to that oil rig and is
Yeah,
climbing up the oil rig, stamping his hand into the metal, and you're like, okay, something's weird here.
yeah.
That's the
This is
moment you
not a
realize,
normal man.
okay, this is not normal. you know, um, and so so and then and of course when you see Henry Cavill, not only does he, behave, he behaves like Superman,
Yeah,
but you look at his build. Have you
hell
ever
yeah.
seen a Superman that looked like that? I mean, God
Not on
damn.
film. Not on film.
Dude came out of the water. I was like, Jesus, that's Superman.
It's like, oh yeah, yeah, you believe this is Superman. Okay, I buy it.
Oh,
I
there,
believe
that's Superman. All the other Superman I saw in live action always came across as not very muscular,
Yeah,
not very strong looking. Even though I know these guys probably worked out like mad and
yeah,
stuff, but you couldn't see it through their outfit.
yeah,
But like when you saw Superman, you were like, "Geez, that is Superman." No doubt about that.
yeah.
you know, he wasn't soft at all, man.
No, not at all. But like he
you
wasn't
know,
soft, but he also has this, I don't know, this inner strength to him. Like there's
right?
this I don't know, just this quiet strength that's just below the surface, and you could just see it like by the way you look at him, but by the way he speaks. He has this commanding voice to him, which I love. I felt like the
Right.
other previous actors who portrayed Superman didn't really convey that for me. But for Henry Cavill, I don't know, like when he speaks, he has this authoritative voice. Just like, oh yeah, oh, I believe this man is the leader of the Justice League. Yeah, I believe it.
Right. And then
Yeah,
the cool thing about him too, I like, is he's not really doing anything violent. Like the
no,
most of the time, people do him things and he just kind of turns the other shoulder somewhat.
yeah,
Okay. I mean, he destroyed the guy's truck,
yeah,
but at least he didn't take it out on the guy, right?
no, yeah,
you know, but you see how powerful he is. He like heat rays through the ice. You see him burn through the ice. You see
yeah,
him use his powers to heal Lewis. Again, that's just like that's not you don't see that. Like
no,
all the iterations of Superman I've seen, I've never seen him use his heat vision to heal somebody. Have you seen that?
no, never,
Any you
no,
know?
never.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the way how they thought about this character and how they went about doing it. The only time I think he really went into violent mode was in Smallville and in when he's fighting General Zod. He had to,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But for most of the movie, this movie was very much non-violent for most of it. Most of the movie was
yeah,
non-violent. I
yeah,
mean,
very much.
except for the Krypton opening scene. But other than that, it really wasn't much of a violent movie. It was like a growth movie and a discovery that
Yeah,
you're on this journey with this guy. And Batman v Superman also wasn't that violent a movie. Whence most of the movie was about circumstances, again intrigue with trying to find out what was going on with Superman. Because when you begin the movie, again Superman's portrayed in this sort of negative light,
yes,
right?
especially to Batman.
He's
Yes,
portrayed as he it's the same scene of Metropolis, right?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
he saves the city but for some reason, now when we look at it from grounds level, we see the terror that is caused by this tremendous clash of titans, right? There's
yeah,
all this collateral damage, and I don't know how many superhero films actually covered something like that before BVS, right? After
yeah,
BVS, I know that some Marvel movies tried to accommodate that, and I'm trying to
yeah.
think.
Civil
I
War, I
don't think
believe.
Civil War did it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
tried to cover that, but for the most part, though, this was something where there were real consequences, and it went all the way through the film
yeah,
because after that damage, people are not going to be as trusting, especially of this surfacing alien that's among us, right?
yeah,
This alien thing, they found out only about him like what a year and something
hmm,
ago.
yeah,
And so you're talking about that's recent. And I'm telling you, if anything like that ever happened in the world here now, I would be just like those people. I would be totally skeptical.
oh yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you be?
Absolutely. I want to know what's going on. I mean, I can totally relate to the story and everything that was going on in it. And so I found that again, these kinds of movies, are they're still comic book movies, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
dealing with the comic book material. But I love that it is something I could take with me and actually use some of the things in real life because it's
yeah,
real life situations and real life lessons being sort of shared,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Um, Let me ask you, Mo. I know you did so much stuff on Restore the Snyderverse, but we're gonna go into a little bit of Ray Fisher's interview with the Hollywood Reporter. We're
Oh yeah,
also gonna talk a little bit about Warner Brothers Pictures and their upcoming Flash movie and their slate of movies. And what do you think of the state of Warner Brothers in terms of the theatrical side of them, and then the streaming side of them? What do you think about them?
well,
So let's start off first with you can start with that.
I think it's strange that we still don't have the official numbers for Zack Snyder's Justice League on
Right,
streaming
right,
service. I think there's multiple reasons why, because I think
no,
Warner
right,
Brothers are afraid to show that actually, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a success, and they don't want that kind of attention because they want to move
right.
forward from the Snyderverse. They want to do their own
But
thing.
you
I get
think
that. I
you
understand
think
that.
that how about Jason Keeler and John Stankley and um, Casey Bloys? Don't you think they want to say it though?
Jason Kilar.
They- yeah, Jason
Um,
Keeler because Keeler that's it's because of Keeler we got this movie.
yeah, yeah. I
So
know. I find it strange. It's strange that he hasn't said anything. I like to think that negotiations are probably being had behind closed doors with Zack Snyder. Maybe that's why Jason Kilar is keeping quiet. Zack Snyder has also been very quiet lately. Obviously he still talks to his fans about just keep hashtagging, keep watching the film, keep supporting it. But as to why Jason Kilar is staying quiet, like me being optimistic, I hope it's because they're having conversations about how can we continue this, looking at all the actor schedules, how can we move forward with this, and because I believe that if they move forward with this, I believe it's gonna be a miniseries. I don't think it's gonna be a movie. But
right,
that's just
so
me.
that's what I heard from what's his name Mark. I think Matthew or Matt was saying that Matt from Lycas,
Okay,
he
gotcha,
was
gotcha.
saying that probably be a series as well as I think what's his name Geekosity, the guy
Yes,
from Geekosity, he was saying also he thinks it's going to be a series. Uh, it might some of those things might go into theater because remember HBO Max originals, one of the HBO Max originals, two of the HBO Max originals actually made it into cinemas. So we all know that the AT&T Warner streaming HBO Max service, they pretty much bought out Zack Snyder's Justice League, right?
yeah,
And for basically $70 million, and they probably made big returns from that. Okay,
yeah.
Warner Brothers Pictures, on the other hand, they spent $300+ million, and they're on the losing end of the stick.
Oh, what a mistake.
Right? They they got Justice League. right?
Oh my god.
So, so they're the losing end of the stick. That they don't want nothing to do with it. So
No.
they obviously it was HBO Max that put up the money and AT&T
Yeah.
to allow this movie to happen. So if anything's going to happen, it's going to be on their side of the fence. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Um, what I would say is that Warner Brother Pictures side of the thing, if if AT&T needs, for example, AT&T puts up the money, they'll have to put up the money probably,
Mhm.
and or whatever sponsors. And from what I'm seeing, I mean, have you been paying attention to what production companies have been sort of pushing out the hashtag Restore the Snyderverse? Just out of curiosity.
You mean like Subway? I saw Subway going on Twitter and promoting
No,
it.
I mean production companies. Subway,
Oh,
yeah, but like,
yeah.
have you
No.
seen that? Have you seen that Syncope?
Oh,
Uh,
is that a Christopher Nolan's production company?
Christopher
Yeah,
Nolan's
I think I've seen
production
that.
company,
Yeah, I've seen
right?
it on
So he's
Twitter.
been pushing it out. He's been pushing it out, and also there's another production company that's been kind of watching around, lurking in the shadows. So what I'm saying is, it used to be, um, it used to be Stone Quarry. It used
Yeah.
to be Atlas Entertainment and DC Films and Warner Brother Pictures. They
Mhm.
used to be the people that put up the money for the film,
Yeah.
right? They would get the sponsors or whatever, they're the investors. Now, if HBO Max can be an investor as a distributor, because remember, Warner Brother Pictures did not distribute this time. It was
Yeah.
HBO Max that did the distribution, and they were very successful, by the way.
Yeah.
So if HBO Max can do the distribution, if AT&T or HBO Max, they put up some of the money, and then you have Atlas still in there, maybe Syncope and Stone Quarry. I think they could probably put it together to make the other successive films. Because the good thing about it was HBO Max really got a good deal because the film was already pretty much made. It was just to just do the CGI stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. To finish it. Yeah.
So yeah, and they made a longer movie, so they did more CGI. But they really this movie could easily have been 3 minutes, 3 hours, 30 minutes,
Yeah.
easily. Because if you stop it at the point where um, you stop it at the end with all
Manhunter.
the heroes, you see all the heroes round up and
Yeah.
they finish off their stories, and the movie stops right there. You don't go to the nightmare sequences and none of that. It's 3 hours and 31 minutes,
Yeah.
right? So very easily that could have been. So it could have gone to cinemas. The thing now is, the question was, can they raise sufficient amounts of money? Say, let's say they need 250 million, right?
Hmm.
Can they make can they get a budget of 250 million towards this movie, and they don't have to worry too much about advertising like before,
Yeah.
because now they have a streaming service,
Yeah.
and they don't have to really worry about distribution and distribution rights and those kinds of things because they again have a streaming service.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, this would be probably their biggest investment if they go with the Snyder Cut, even though they have done some pretty decent budget films, right?
Yeah.
And they put good money into it, like 80 million. I think the most they've put in is 100 million for a movie.
Yeah.
But this now is going to be about twice that and some, twice,
Yeah.
2 times and a half. So if they can put up the money for Justice League 2, and I hear they're talking about using the same sort of especially the green screens like what the Mandalorian had.
Yeah.
Maybe they can save on cost again, and from that they could really push further, because basically now Justice League 2 and Justice League 3, they don't have to reanimate the characters. They already got they got Steppenwolf, they got Desaad, they got Darkseid, they got all the characters they have now. They have
Yeah.
all the computer generated models for those things.
Yeah.
So there's not any extra money to spend on that. All they have to do now is just use what they have already and put it into the story.
Hmm.
And then we've seen when we look at Zack with the Flash, how he got Ezra Miller to do his little bit in the post-apocalyptic scene, because you could see that Ezra didn't have beard and mustache, right?
No.
They put that in. They CG
Yeah.
that in. So
He
yeah,
wasn't even
and
on
they
set.
see right. He was on set. He was on the
He was in London
uh,
filming Harry
yeah,
Potter, I think.
shooting
Yeah,
the Harry Potter thing. So I'm just saying you don't actually have to be exactly in the location, so they can work. They can be flexible with the time schedules of different actors.
yeah,
And seeing that now directors can do multiple projects at once. Patty Jenkins right now is working on two other films right now, and then Zach's work. He worked on what, two films, I think it is.
yeah.
This is Army of the Dead and this, and then Junkie XL was working on three movies. So you can multitask now. So what that makes it for a situation where if you can't access for a particular person, then maybe you can put things in place so that you can direct them from wherever they are at, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
It's awesome.
So,
Why not? Let's
so
do
I
it.
mean, I'm saying, man, I think this is gonna happen. I know the Snyderverse is going. You know how I know this?
Oh
Now,
yeah.
besides the point that they want Ben Affleck as well, because
Mm,
I don't know what's with Warner Bros., but they always want a Batman movie as everything's Batman. But
yeah.
hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of Batman, apparently. And the fact that you have Ben Affleck, who you see his range of acting is just phenomenal. It would be nice to see Deathstroke appear on the screen for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, for the first time in a full, like in fully having a flushed out character, an arc, and everything. That would be nice to see. And who knows? Maybe Jared Leto's Joker comes back into the equation. They were going to introduce Batgirl. So my question is, this is going to be a go, right? The
Yeah.
Snyderverse is coming.
Yeah.
The question is how is it coming? That's what you want to know. Would we be able to see something in IMAX theater, for example, right?
Yeah.
And I think we will. I'll tell you two reasons. One, Netflix, they're putting out movies now,
Yeah.
and not just on streaming, but you can also see them in theaters. So if that's the way how streaming is going, I truly believe HBO Max can do the same. I mean, they've done small projects that have been in limited theaters, but I think they can do the same. And they're gonna give it Warner Brother Pictures a run for their money very soon. That's what I'm seeing.
I feel like it's gonna be the Snyderverse on HBO Max versus Warner Brothers theatrical films, and I think that's
Yeah,
what Warner Brothers are afraid of. And it's just
they
like,
shouldn't be though.
yeah, they should be, because that's the one that most fans want to see. They want to see the story continue, and Zack's like
Absolutely.
basically like
No,
we
but what
want
I'm
to see
saying
the
is,
story that we were promised, basically.
yeah, but did it stop fans from going to see Godzilla versus Kong? Did it stop
No,
Will it stop fans from going to see Suicide Squad? Absolutely
no,
not. We're gonna go watch those things. It's just that I don't even understand how these executives think. Like, think. Let the thing breathe, and then your universe will not die. Because if they don't let the Snyderverse happen, I guarantee you, guarantee you, that is when the WB is going to die.
yeah,
It's history.
yeah,
They have to let it live, otherwise it's problems, man. you know, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. I think a lot of people are thinking only about their careers and
mhm,
keeping their job. That is the problem in Warner Brother Pictures, and so it's very cutthroat in there,
yeah.
and it's stupid
I agree.
because they're out of touch with the fans.
Oh
They're out
yeah,
of touch with the fans
clearly.
completely. I don't even know why they're executives. And then on top of that, they've been very toxic.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, they call us toxic, but they're the ones that are toxic. That's why we're talking about them right now with the RayFisher situation. You know what I mean? Damian Atkinson, what's up, brother? This is another brother's always on my program.
oh, that's
If you
awesome.
want to come through, man. Uh, he says, I want to see Deadshot in the Batman versus Deathshot movie. Batman versus I think he means Deathstroke.
Yeah, Deathstroke.
Deathstroke.
Yeah, we all want to see that.
Yeah, man. I know, man. Tell me, how did you start your channel talking particularly about the Snyder Cut? Because this is one of the most historic, phenomenal things ever that has
Yeah.
ever happened in
Well,
Hollywood.
it's funny because I only started my YouTube channel because of the pandemic. And I was never
Wow.
like, because I live here out here in New York, and at that time, you couldn't really do much other than go to
Right.
work and then come back home. So in order for me to to keep myself from going crazy, I was like, you know what? Let me start a YouTube channel, and let me just talk about this stuff. And then slowly but surely, I started getting more and more into the movement about what was happening with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then I just started making videos from there. And I started liking it. I was like, okay, well, this is pretty fun, and people are liking what I'm doing. It's just like, okay,
Exactly.
let's just continue this, and it's nice to see, not just myself, but people who feel the same way that we all do, right? People who love Man of
Right.
Steel, people who love BVS, because at that time, like you said, in 2016, it was just like nobody wanted nobody liked
Man,
that movie at all.
but the weirdest thing is the average person liked Batman v Superman. But the
Yeah,
problem with it was a lot of them are confused. Like they were like, I don't know what that. What was that scene in the middle of the movie? The
oh yeah,
nightmare scene. They were like, what? I myself was thrown for a loop for a minute. I
yeah.
was like, okay, so where are we? What is this? Right?
It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Right. So, but so a lot of people, most people that I actually talked with, they said it was a good movie, even though they were surprised that Superman died.
Yeah,
And they also said that they said because most people were rooting for Batman
yeah.
in my cinema. They were like, "Yeah, kill him, Batman." I was like, "What?" The people actually they were happy. They wanted to see Batman kill Superman. I was like, "What is going on here?" And when he didn't kill Superman, they were like, "Batman punked out." I was like, "What?" I couldn't
Like, what is
believe it. Yes. But that's how the people were thinking. Because when Batman was chasing down the criminals, the entire cinema where I was in absolute uproar.
yeah,
Like the cinemas I go to are lively.
yeah,
So the people were like hooray. They were making sounds like they were shooting guns up in the air and stuff. It was crazy. It was insane, right? They love Batman for some
yeah.
reason. David Antonovich says Warner Brothers is trying to devalue the DC IP so Disney would buy it cheap. Man, dude,
I hope not.
I wonder sometimes. I wonder sometimes for real. Because I even heard some fans say, man, if Disney could get this property, you know, maybe they could do the characters better, which I do not
I don't want
advise.
that to happen. No, I don't
I
want
don't
that.
want that to happen either. They got Fox right now, and
Yeah,
the characters in Fox are not doing that well anymore.
no. But I do agree that Warner Brothers are ashamed of having this DC IP in their library. I don't think they want it. I don't think they want it. I don't think they want to do it. Because
Right.
I don't know, like for some reason, like Warner Brothers seems like the type of studio that only goes for Oscar type of films, and they almost feel embarrassed that they have to make a Superman film or a Batman film or a Wonder Woman film. So I truly do believe that Warner Brothers just hates the IP of DC. Now that being said, I don't want it to go to Disney. I don't want Kevin Feige to buy it, but it would be nice
Nah.
for sort of like Marvel Studios for DC to have their own studio division, and that's
Right.
separate from Warner Brothers. Like DC Studios, like how Marvel has Marvel Studios. That's what I want for
Right.
DC.
Well, I don't want DC to do anything Marvel. I think Marvel is Marvel. Like
Yeah,
they made DC films, and I was like, why?
yeah,
Because you see, Marvel they have their Marvel thing, and I'm just thinking to myself, why are you copying Marvel? Marvel's
yeah,
Marvel. Be yourself. They have always been successful. Unfortunately, they've always Warner Bros. Has always had the history of messing up good movies. So we start off with Richard Donner's Superman. That first movie was a tremendous success.
yeah,
The second movie, they tamper with Richard Donner. He has to leave the project.
yeah,
Batman, 1989, tremendous. Well, it's tremendous enough at the time. Success, revolutionary, right?
yeah,
Um, Tim Burton decides to do Batman 2, which is Batman Returns. Very Tim Burton-y. I like it. I like it a lot.
yeah,
And Warner Brothers sacks him after that movie. Yeah,
yeah,
this is the guy that's giving you success. What are you doing? They got rid of him. And he was supposed to do a Superman movie. you know, then again, now they bring on Schumacher. Schumacher, I've never really been into Schumacher with
I like Batman
movies, but
Forever. Like to
you
be fair,
do?
yeah, I like Batman Forever. I grew up with like Batman Forever was the first Batman movie I ever saw in theaters, the first live action Batman movie. So
Oh,
that's why I love it.
right,
Like
right, right.
it's not
I
the
mean,
best
Jim
Batman movie
Carrey
in the
was
world. I would admit it's not a great Batman movie, but to me, like I don't know, it's nostalgic for me. That's why I like it.
right, right, and it's not bad. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong;
yeah,
it wasn't bad. Val Kilmer was all right. I think it was a
crazy.
good cast.
Yeah,
You know, it was a good cast of people, but the eccentric Two Face and the Riddler was just off the hinges. I mean, it was it was extremely weird, a
yeah,
weird experience for me.
yeah,
But you know, Schumacher does his thing. Batman and Robin was again extremely strange, to say the
yeah. I
least.
don't know what happened.
But Schumacher eating some berries or something,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
what
That
do you
was
call
so
that?
weird.
Weed and you know the cookies, the weed cookies.
Yeah,
I was eating some of that when he did that to me. Because my God, I don't know what it was. I don't know what's going on with that.
yeah. I'm confused.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. But yeah, Christopher Nolan, of course, you know,
Yeah,
Christopher Nolan, but Christopher Nolan is smart enough to understand I'm just doing a trilogy and I'm done.
yeah. I'm out.
I'm out, ninja. Y'all are not gonna kick me off this job. He made sure he had that contract down too.
And
So they
Christopher
would
Nolan
screw
like
him over.
single-handedly saved the Batman franchise. Like
Yeah,
Nolan, he saved
absolutely.
it. Yeah, he saved it. He did two
Yeah,
phenomenal
he did.
films.
Yeah. I mean he did three. Give him
Yeah,
give him the Dark Knight Rises. We can give him it.
not my favorite, but
Yeah, it wasn't the finish that everybody expected, but
yeah,
you know, it was all
it was
right. I
fine.
mean,
Yeah, it was fine.
especially Bane. Bane, come
Yeah,
on, man.
yeah, I love Tom Hardy Bane. Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, Bane was good. I mean, but even how it began, I like how it began with the airplane thing with Bane. That
Yeah,
was that was dope, man.
yeah, that was dope.
But you know, they have a history of just I don't know why, but they always want to return back to this laughter and jokes, and that's the movie that's going to get the kids and the family and popcorn. So they always try to get a bigger audience, and to
Yeah,
do so they compromise what they are. I don't know why, and they bomb heavily.
yeah. Constantly, and they constantly do it over and over again. I'm just like, I
I
don't
don't
know.
understand, why are
Yeah,
you doing that? What are you trying? Like, haven't you learned your lesson? This is not DC. DC don't do this. You just don't do
yeah,
it. You probably could do it for TV shows. You could do it for the animated series, even though a lot of animated series are not jokey like that.
no,
And you could do it for several things, but don't do it on the big screen. It just doesn't fly. People just
no,
don't like it.
yeah. And they like consistency. They don't like things changing over and over again. Because otherwise,
Right,
people are gonna get tired. It was like,
right.
okay, well, why should I have faith in this studio when Marvel over here is consistently putting out stuff that that's good.
And you know what to expect with Marvel.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you know what to expect with Marvel. They're very consistent in their tone and in at least certain beats that they bring forward. You know what to
Yeah,
expect. With
yeah.
these with DC and Warner Brothers,
It's a gamble. You don't know.
you really don't know.
Is it
Like,
gonna be good? Is it gonna be is it gonna be
and the thing
bad?
about it is, you know what really gets me? I'm like, it's not the director's fault. Like,
Yeah,
Air had his plan.
yeah,
They came in and said, no, we need to have this and this in the movie, and they just screwed up the man's movie, right? You
yeah,
you know, you look at, even Patty Jenkins had to fight them down. She still lost that battle with the third act of Wonder Woman. The third
yeah.
act of Wonder Woman was not supposed to be that,
No,
right?
yeah,
But for some reason, the studios always try, and you don't make movies. You're just the freaking executives. God damn, man. Don't
yeah,
know two things about a movie. And then there, and I don't get it, man.
Yeah, I wish I knew.
Oh man. So but that's with Warner Brothers. So I'm glad you said your take on that. You said that your truth on it. Cyan Blue says, "Wow, thanks to the truth for recognizing Christ I am disciple. He did a lot of videos back in the day defending BVS more than any other." Okay. Yeah, I was wrought. I was
Yeah,
smoking, man.
waving the flag.
I was like, hell no, this ain't going down. Because before BBS even came out, they were like tongue lashing it, the critics and then Marvel fans, and then we had people who were Nolan fans that hated on it. And I was like, what the hell? They haven't even seen the movie yet, and they're just going in on the movie.
Yeah,
And I was very excited for it because when I saw Man of Steel, I was like, I know this guy's gonna make a movie that I like, so I'm
yeah,
going in the cinema to see it. I went in the cinema, I saw it, and then I realized when I came back out, a lot of people were initially around me praising it, and then when I looked online, I was like, "What is this?
yeah.
Really, really? Couldn't believe it, man. I really couldn't believe it." But
Yeah.
then I realized there are other people like myself, over time that actually defended the movie. And
Yeah,
I'm talking about the theatrical release. I'm not talking about
yeah,
the Ultimate Edition, which is actually the advertising was kind of off. I'll give them that. It
yeah.
was off, and it made us think it was about Superman fighting Batman. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It was a much bigger, broader movie than that. And
And, and to be fair to Warner Brothers, it was kind of a hard movie to market because, like you said, it wasn't just Batman v Superman. So, and when you see
no,
the movie, it's just like, oh, okay, like this is just something way more philosophical, way more nuanced.
very nuanced,
Yeah,
very nuanced.
it's a superhero movie that is unique, especially at the
It's
time,
very,
with Marvel being at the hype that it was.
right.
You see Batman v Superman, you're like, okay, this is way different, and I think that,
It's way different.
yeah, and that might have turned people off because, like, okay, well, I don't like this. Like, what is this?
Right. Godzilla versus Kong is what Batman v Superman should have been
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
lot of people.
For some people, yeah,
Yeah.
very
Because
simple.
that's
You can turn
that's
off your
the
phone.
idea. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You know. So and then everybody had the perception that Zack was just an action director like Michael Bay, and
yeah,
he's not. He's like this dude. Like he just listened to the title, Batman v
yeah.
Superman. He didn't say versus, right?
No,
So it's like there's nuance always. And everything Zach does is a meaning, specific meaning to what he's saying.
no,
Like really, this is about Batman's issue with Superman. That's what he's basically saying.
yeah.
But like a lot of people then and then Dawn of Justice. Why is he putting Dawn of Justice? Well, because it's the birth of the Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
Like because and the moment the birth of the Justice League actually happened, which is really interesting, the seed was planted. But the birth of the Justice League was the moment Batman spoke with Wonder Woman over the grave of Superman. And that's something. That's when that's the dawn of justice. It wasn't where we were introduced to the meta-humans and stuff, but the dawn of justice happened at the funeral of Superman or Clark Kent, whichever
Yeah,
Kal-El, whatever.
yeah,
And that's the thing. I don't know if a lot of people pick that up,
yeah.
but when
And,
he was talking about, we have to fight and we need to get together and stuff, that's where this is the point at which we realize Batman's mindset has changed. So
yeah,
it took Superman's death for Batman to change because Batman, with or without Superman, Batman was heading down a path in which he was going to destruction,
yeah,
right? He had too much loss. Like Christopher Nolan's Batman says, you know, at some point you're going to be the villain.
yeah.
If you stay around long enough, you're going to become the villain. And that's what basically Bruce Wayne was saying, right? So that's the kind of mindset that Zack and his team were working on. And so it's if Superman didn't die, I don't think Batman would have. I don't think we wouldn't have a Justice League, and we
Yeah.
also according to this story, And according to this, Batman's full change of mind,
Yeah.
his full change of mind, and his guilt on
Mhm.
seeing Superman dead because, and this is the guy that he was going after.
Yeah.
I think that would not have driven him to form the Justice League. So this is where the dawn of justice is actually when Superman dies. That the dawn of justice is born in Batman. Hence the symbol with Batman, and inside of his chest is the crest of Superman, the hope. Like it's really nuanced. Like it's
Yeah.
like that's really really smart.
Yeah.
Like really smart. It's a really smart movie. Too smart for a lot of people, but that's
And
why I really love it
I
though.
think that was the
That's why I
problem.
really love it. Yeah, it was just like it went way over some people's heads. Way, like completely over. Like they missed the boat completely on it. And I was like, yes, I love this movie. And you were like, I knew what you were talking about. Like,
Yeah,
man.
and a lot of people missed that this movie was really a redemption story for Bruce Wayne, Batman. A lot of people missed that, and when you first watch it, you don't really catch it, but when you watch it over and over again, you see like, okay, well, this is like you said, Superman's sacrifice helped change the mindset of Bruce Wayne, and that's what
Oh, yeah.
started off the path of him being the Batman that we all know and love, which is amazing.
Yeah. And everybody always makes fun of the Martha moment, which I don't
Yeah,
understand why. Still up to this
yeah,
day, I've told people I don't understand why you're making fun of that. That's the actual moment when Batman comes to realization that he's about to kill the best thing that ever happened to him,
yeah,
which is Superman.
yeah,
Like that's a very pivotal moment in the entire movie, and Zack took his time to work it up into that moment. He was showing how important Martha was to Batman,
yeah,
and that very moment where Superman speaks about Martha being he needs to save Martha. The fact it's not the Martha. He could have said whatever, but the fact that he said save save Martha,
yeah,
and you're letting him kill Martha. It's not just Martha because um, if he had said something even parallel to Batman's mother being murdered by the robber,
mm,
anything similar along those lines, psychologically, it would get to him, and
yeah,
he would be it was going to get to him.
yeah,
It wasn't the name Martha; it was the context in which Superman was speaking. If Superman just said Martha, that wouldn't mean anything. Leroy
no.
Kong, what's up? Hello,
Hey, what's
great
up, Leroy
live. Thanks,
Khan?
bro. Yeah, Leroy Kong is a guy that's DC fan and a Marvel fan.
Yeah, he usually shows up on my live streams from time to time. So
Oh
to get
yeah,
to know. Yeah,
he loves it, man. He's
yeah,
actually been on here. Actually, he's been on here as well. And yeah, there's some really cool people in this community, the
yeah,
Snyderverse,
yeah,
Snyder community. There's a lot of really cool people,
yeah.
like
Great people.
people who help other people who have like been abused, people who have been raped and stuff, and there's all kinds of crazy things that people go through. And there are people in this community who actually provide support to those people. So,
Yeah,
when we talk about suicide prevention, AFSP, and Feeding America, or some foundation in your country that is against suicide or against or about feeding people, these are things that I truly support.
yeah,
And that's the beautiful parts of this movement, as well as I love all the art, whether it's music or the people who do their little skits or the people who do the little comic stuff like Film Gob does these
yeah,
little comic things. I love the creativity that's in here.
yeah.
So it's just wonderful. Let me get to what I asked you about Ray Fisher's article in the Hollywood Reporter. What do you think about that? First of all, your thoughts.
Yeah, because I know RayFisher had talked about this before, and I mean, I wasn't shocked. Listen, to see like a young black kid, a young actor who's starting out, in Hollywood, which is notoriously known not to be the kindest to minorities, especially with films back in the day and all the horror stories that you hear towards minorities. So hearing this, I was like, yeah, that sounds true. It's like, yeah, yeah,
It's funny.
that sounds
I'm
familiar.
sure a lot of I'm sure a lot of minorities would be like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We
Because
agree.
Hollywood,
You know what's the weirdest
Hollywood
thing?
is a good old boys club, right? Bunch of rich white
Oh man.
people, and I'm sure they say some slick stuff to each other, behind Ray's back. It's like, oh, look at this little kid. Like, who does he think he is? Like, he's just a black kid who's starting out. Like, we know better. So it's like, yeah, like me, like, yeah, of course, you're like, yeah, that makes sense.
And you know what's the weirdest thing? The investigator says, "Well, we didn't see anything that had to do with, racism and stuff." But this am I a rocket scientist or something? What? Tell me, honestly. The actor that
No,
was playing Ryan Shaw, right?
yeah,
He wasn't in the
yeah,
movie. Okay.
no,
Tyler Stone wasn't in the movie much.
nope,
Victor Stone's mother wasn't in the movie much.
nope,
I'm just saying, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
got Iris West was in the movie. Why are these people? Look, that's 5 people so far, right?
yeah.
Then you got the single mother with the
She's
child,
Asian.
Asian. She's not in the movie, right? I'm
Hmm.
not finished. Don't forget, Green Lantern's still not in the movie.
Yeah,
He's
Martian
been
Manhunter.
filmed. Martian Manhunter wasn't in the movie. That's 7.
Yeah.
Need I go on? Okay. Need I go on? Come on, man. Why is it that these people get cut from the movie? Why?
Yeah, it's
Oh no,
strange.
those scenes are not important to the movie. They're not
No.
important, and they're replaced with the Russian family,
Yeah.
the thief on the roof. Which of these things does not belong here? The
All white.
the white guys who was kicking down the fruits from the Muslim woman in the
Yeah.
beginning. Everybody knows. Remember that?
Hmm.
All these people get employed. All of these people get paid. Right? Remember,
Yeah.
this is about getting paid.
Yeah.
If you don't show up on the screen, you don't get paid.
Hmm.
So my question is, how is that possible? And then let's not forget the Jewish lady,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Look what they did to her,
Yeah. Having Flash land on top of her. It's like, what? Like, what is this?
right? Because what? Because Gal is talking to him and saying, "Hey, man," and he's like, "Shut up, do your lines, right? Or I'll make you look stupid." So he made her
Yeah.
look stupid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a minority as well in
Yeah.
America. Let's not forget that. Okay, she's Jewish.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, oh, there's no racism. Okay, okay. How is there no racism when I'm seeing evidence of it as a fan? The optics
Yeah.
don't look right. So you're gonna have to explain that to me,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna explain that to me.
Make it make
You
sense.
want you make it make sense. Ray Fisher, he must say booyah. Why?
Yeah. Why
Why
does
must he say
RayFisher only
booyah?
have to say the catchphrase? Why doesn't Superman say, up and away, and what other stupid
Yeah,
stuff? To the Batcave. Let Ben
yeah.
Affleck say all that stupid stuff.
You know what I mean? Not first of all, it's not that kind of movie to
Mm-mm,
start with.
mm-mm.
And that's what I try to explain to people. They're like, this is all about having characters in movies, and they must look exactly like the animated series or the animated movies or this is not cartoons. This is not animation. This is real life. This is
Yeah.
called live action. Live action is different, right? So
Mhm.
I never quite understood it, but I totally identify, like you said, with Ray Fisher's interview. I believe he's saying everything that he's saying is true. And we have evidence of that. We've seen Toby Everett lie multiple
Yeah, of course.
times about various things. And behind the scenes, he's always trying to sabotage. He tried to
Yeah.
sabotage Joker, withholding funds. He tried to sabotage Zack Snyder's Justice League when it came out on HBO Max and there was a leak. He he delayed the fixing of the leak because they needed approval from him because he's the head of, believe it or not, and he's also got HBO Max under
Yeah.
his purview. So he has to have the final say on certain things, and he was stalling up the stuff, right?
Mm.
And of course, the other people who are in similar minds as him. Walter Amada said it was a cul-de-sac. Ann Sarnoff
Yeah.
said this ain't even coming off.
Yeah.
You get where they're coming
Yeah.
from, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if this is the way how things are going, you could see that Ray Fisher was in a bad situation,
Yeah.
right? and thankfully he's still doing movies. He's doing another movie that's coming out very soon. And then of course you don't have to do movies in Hollywood now. There's also Atlanta, Georgia, where this guy he's got this big studio out there now. And a
Tyler
color
Perry.
guy, Tyler Perry, right there you go, Tyler Perry. So, and then we have all Netflix and all these streaming services that kind of allow people to be able to go up now and do their thing.
Yeah.
You can't really blacklist a guy just like that. It's going to be a little harder to do. Or
Yeah.
whitelist a guy. I prefer whitelist a guy. Blacklist, come on, man.
Why it's gotta be blacklist?
I don't understand. Black's a nice color. Everybody likes black, right? Look, I got gray hairs, right? My hair's black. Black is the color, right? I never understood that. I'm just saying, though.
Whitelist.
Just saying. Why isn't it whitelist? I'm just saying. To Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke on HBO Max. How do you think this should be approached? You think first of all, if we have to restore the Snyderverse, what is the first movie you think that HBO Max should be considering if they're going to go through with this thing?
The Batfleck series. Batfleck series, number
really?
one. Yeah, that should be their number one priority, because if you announce the Batfleck series on HBO Max, your subscriptions for HBO Max are gonna go through the roof. That's what everyone's been clamoring for. That's what everyone wants. There's so much hype for Ben Affleck because of Joe and talking about Deathstroke and about what he wanted to do with that character and the story that they had in mind with featuring Batgirl. Like Batgirl was gonna be featured with the Batman movie. Just like, wait, what? Like that was like nobody knew about that. It was like, whoa.
It was gonna be an extremely dark movie.
Yeah,
probably one of the darkest Batman movies ever.
Yeah, and just the way Joe talked about the way he wants to approach Deathstroke and just like systematically breaking down Batman physically, mentally, just like, oh my god, it's like, yeah, like to me, if I was in charge, if I had the the Infinity Gauntlet to snap and make a wish, that would be my number one Affleck. That's it.
All right, so Ben Affleck has a career as long as he wants, pretty much.
Yeah,
because that's green. AT&T's gonna green light that like yesterday, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
So that's done.
Yeah.
So the question really is, do you think that David Ayer's Suicide Squad is a sort of like a Batman film? Because Batman appears in Suicide Squad, the theatrical. So think about this: David Ayer's Suicide Squad is pretty much done.
Yeah.
Why doesn't HBO Max jump at that? Because that's another gimme.
Yeah.
If they can get that from Warner Brother Pictures, AT&T should strong arm them, just like how they did with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Hey, give me that property. I'll deal with the rest of the costs. Probably $10 million to finish it up, whatever. And then they put it up on HBO Max. Dude.
Yeah, why not?
Everybody's gonna go watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see David Ayer's original vision for this movie. Why not? Zack Snyder got the chance, so why not David Ayer?
And my thing is, if you think about it, first of all, the theatrical version actually made a lot of money. They made profit off it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's nothing compared to what David Ayer actually did. No. So I want to see David Ayer's version, which is going to be much more serious. It's going to be a little bit more extreme. Yeah. This is my thing. Joker. I like extreme. So I want to see, and then there's going to be more Joker in it.
Yeah.
So we get to see more of. What do you think of? What's his name? What do you think of the Joker, Jared Leto? Yeah.
I thought he was fine in Suicide Squad. I was like, okay, well, this is not the Joker that I'm used to. But I was like, all right. I was like, I don't hate it, but it wasn't my cup of tea. But then I saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I saw Jared Leto in there. And I'm like, okay, yes. This is the Joker that I want to see. I love this. Yes, more of this.
I have a feeling like he would be excellent in Suicide Squad, because I heard he was supposed to slap Harley Quinn. He was supposed to go head to head with the Suicide Squad at a certain point in the movie. and we didn't see nothing like that.
No,
Like
it's gonna
none
be
of
much
that
more
going on.
darker in David Ayer's version.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
part of his face was blown away or something like that
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
the David Ayers version. It's crazy too. He was crazier. So I would love to see that. See they said that like 80% of Jared Leto's performance wasn't even seen,
Yeah.
and
Crazy.
I'm pretty sure he would be a lot better than we saw. And then even some of the stuff that came onto the theatrical version, the even the part where he was electrocuting Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
where he said he was going to hurt her really, really bad,
Yeah.
wasn't wasn't the iteration that we saw in the trailer
No.
coming moving up to the thing. So I just feel like I want to see what David Ayer's version would look like. And I feel it's going to be significantly better than
Yeah.
the stuff that we saw in the cinema. I kind of liked it, but it was paper thin with storyline. It didn't really. And then the fact that Steppenwolf will actually be in this cut versus what we got in the cinema with some weird looking
Yeah. I don't
Aztecian
know what that
looking
was. That was weird. I was like, what is this?
weird. Like, what do you call it? Ichabod or something like that. Whatever the hell it
Something
was.
like that.
But
It was a Enchantress and her brother or something like that. It was just like, yeah,
some shit like that.
yeah,
It's like what make no
weird.
sense. But I love the trick that Enchantress did with her hand and
Yeah,
that
that
kind
was
of
good.
stuff. I
Yeah.
feel it would have been more creepy, like David Ayer's cut is. He said when he presented it to Warner Brothers execs, they got freaked out. He freaked them out. He said it's too scary.
Yeah.
The kiddies are going to run.
Which I don't know why, because like you would think like these people would have discussions with the directors. Like, listen, this is the take that I want to do with Suicide Squad. It's gonna be much darker. Are you okay with that? If you're not,
Yeah,
then you know what? Shake hands and we'll be on our way. But since they
yeah.
agreed, yeah, why would you all of a sudden just change everything? It's like I don't get it.
Because I feel there are factions in the executives. One faction wants lighter tone stuff, and another faction is fine with whatever the director wants to do. And I think there's a battle that goes on between them all the time. So, like, take for instance, back in the day with Zack Snyder, Kevin Tsuchihara was the
Mhm.
guy that led the charge. He was the CEO of Warner Brothers. He led the charge to try to lighten up the films because he wanted to get, the initial box office to be as huge as possible, so he could get his bonus.
Yeah,
they, they thinking they think as fast as they can get returns, right?
yeah,
I'm not too sure why. I don't know if it's investors or whatever. But to me, that was just dumb because what you really want to do is not necessarily the opening weekend has to be big, but you need to have the movie have legs. So once it's not, people are not dropping off in interest and word of mouth is kicking in,
mhm,
the longer the thing lasts and people are talking about it. And the thing, see, what they don't understand is so stupid. We as fans, we're like an inbuilt hype machine for their movies. They
yeah,
don't realize the power that they have because they have everything. They got a fan base that if you get this fan base excited, you're gonna have positive word of mouth for weeks on a film. A film can really have legs with a fan base like this because once the fans get excited, Restore the Snyderverse is going to go on till probably the end of this year, right?
mhm,
That's how much legs they could have, and it's sad because they don't tap into what they have. They always looking elsewhere for something. And
yeah,
so at the end of the day, it's this conundrum where you have a divided executives. Greg Silverman he was fighting for Zack Snyder's movies, but they got him out of there. They got rid of him, and then they put Toby Emmerich in his place. And Toby Emmerich hasn't done a single. Okay, he got Aquaman. That's his one win.
yeah,
He ain't done another thing after that. That's his
yeah,
win.
yeah.
He's got no other wins in his column. You know, and
And
wins are
Aquaman's
remember.
and
Yeah,
Aquaman's success, I put that on James Wan. I put that on him on why that movie's
absolutely.
so
Because
big.
James Wan worked his ass off to get some action
Yeah,
sequences going
yeah,
to keep people occupied because it was a paper thin storyline.
yeah.
And
I love
thankfully,
Aquaman, by the way. I love that movie.
it's kooky, it's funny,
Yeah,
but he didn't plan. James Wan didn't plan on making a movie like that. He actually wanted to make it more horrific,
Yeah.
and Aquaman fighting more beasts and uniting the seven seas. It was really supposed to be a different movie. And I keep on telling people this movie was marvelized by Jeff Johns and
Oh yeah.
all those other cronies. Okay.
Oh yeah.
They wanted certain beats. That's why you have forced jokes in Aquaman. If you look at it, it's like, okay, is that really supposed to be there? Like, is that
Yeah.
that's the thing now?
Yeah.
Right? But it still follows it's like the continuation of where Zack Snyder's Justice League left off more than it is the Whedonized version. So it leads off where he's going to see his father instead of swimming the seas, just swimming the seas. And you see the whales. Josh Whedon's cut. I'm like, okay, where are you going?
Yeah.
No, he's just happy. He's just swimming the seas, bro. So you think about Josh Whedon's cut and you're like, oh my god. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. When I went to the cinema, I went 10 times to the cinema.
What, Joss Whedon's cut?
Yes.
Oh my lord!
You want to hear a joke? I defended that movie for, I think it is a couple months until I saw the deleted scene with Superman.
Yeah.
The deleted scene when he was walking inside of the ship.
Yeah.
The Kryptonian ship, and I was like, "What the f?" I was like, "Good God, these freaking people have been lying to me."
I saw that movie one time in theaters, and I just stopped. I was like, "No, that's enough for me."
Dude, I've been watching that CGI face, trying to apologize for the nonsense, trying to say that Zack Snyder's movie. I'm like, oh my god, I really was under their spell. Yeah. I bought into their BS.
It's so funny. Like once you see Justice League, and then you see Zack Snyder's cut of the film, you're just like, oh my god, like this is just like embarrassing. Just like what happened? Like, you know what? It makes me angry. It makes me angry because we could have had that in theaters, but instead we got the Justice League cut. And just like who made that decision? I want names. I want numbers.
You know what's the good thing about it though? There's a number of things that make it good. One, people always were saying Zack Snyder's movies, they're dreary characters, it's just so sad, just sad heroes. Okay, let's get the happy heroes in the house. Justice League. Everybody's happy, right?
Yeah.
They didn't like it. They did not like it. And we saw it in the box office. So people should eat that pill and realize they don't really want happy heroes. What they want is heroes that symbolize the heroics that they represent. That's what they want. Inspirational heroes. So, I mean, that pretty much solved that problem. So I'm glad kind of like that Justice League came out because this is what Warner Brothers' vision was. And this is the vision they're heading in to this day.
Yeah.
So if people are confused by it no longer do you need to be confused. I was fooled by them. I was fooled. I'm not going to lie. They fooled me. Tommy Eric was like, we're going to keep Zack's vision. All that Joss Whedon's going in there to do is just touch up on a few things. And
yeah. It's gonna be the same movie, you know. He's just work on it.
It's gonna be the same movie. Zack's vision, you know. Oh my god!
Like, okay, never again.
Never again. Yeah. That's a liar. You know what I mean? So, and then when I saw Aquaman, which I promised myself I was going to go see it, and I still went and watched it. I was kind of disappointed because it was like I know it's James Wan's thing, but I thought that from what James Wan was saying, you know, we were going to get this sort of epic, swashbuckling, kind of but perilous movie.
Yeah.
But I didn't really get that feeling, even though I really love the rooftop scene with those Atlanteans who were chasing them down. But I didn't really get that feeling. I got more of a adventure, swashbuckling, insane, crazy movie. I mean, the trench was good. That little moment with the trench was really good. I mean, it got my breath. Just the way how he did the camera angles and everything, and the monsters was good. I thought I was going to see more of that kind of peril, and you know, we didn't really get that.
No, not really. Maybe this time we might get in a sequel. Maybe.
I think so. I think so. If he
Yeah,
gets a little bit more creative
yeah,
control over what he wants to do, and because I don't think he wanted Black Manta in there either. He wanted it to be an issue between him and his brother Orm.
yeah. That's true. I think Jeff Johns forced Black Manta onto James Wan, which again, like he was fine in the movie. I had no problem with him, but at the like when you watch it, it's like okay, well, you don't really need Black Manta in this movie.
A
He
lot
just
of
needs
people said that.
yeah.
A lot of people said that he wasn't really necessary. But,
No, it was cool.
I
It was
mean,
still cool seeing him.
oh yeah, it was cool, no doubt. And then again, another black actor getting a job.
Yeah,
I'm always for that. So
yeah,
no, I don't have a problem with it. It's just that I'm just saying, the direction of the movie kind of stared off in another direction actually
yeah,
to what it originally was going to be. That's all I was
yeah.
saying, and they kind of lighten it up and everything, which is not. I really don't have a problem with whatever the director. If James Wan is cool with it, then I'm cool with
Yeah,
it. Once it's his vision.
yeah.
But I mean, Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman 84. What did you think about that?
At first, I liked it. I was like, I did it like a
Oh,
quick
you liked
review.
it?
Yeah, at first,
Okay, that's good.
and then I saw a
First
couple
person
of
I've heard
times.
say they didn't like it.
Yeah, at first I liked it, and then I watched it a couple more times, and you're like, yeah, I don't think I like this movie anymore. just like a lot of stuff. Like it's not the Wonder Woman sequel that I was hoping it would be, because I love the first Wonder Woman. I love that movie so much,
Yes, it's
and
dope.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's a
and
special movie.
yeah, and when we watched this one, 84, you're just like, wow, like it just went in a completely different direction, but not the direction I wanted it to go. just like it was just like I don't know what's happening with the story.
The
The
thing that
action
really
is
cracks me
horrendous.
up is watching the action scenes, man. Them
Oh, it's,
action scenes is hilarious.
it's horrendous. It's horrible. It's just like what is it's
I
like
started
what is
laughing
going on?
hysterically. I laughed hysterically in the cinema, man. I
Yeah,
was in the cinema. I went to the cinema to see this with Damian Anton Vincent, the guy that was on here.
yeah.
And dude, Damien was angry and I was cracking up. I couldn't control myself. I just kept laughing.
Oh,
That scene in the mall,
oh my god! I
oh
was
my
like,
god,
what is happening?
that was hilarious.
I was like, is this a comedy right now? Like, what is happening right now? I was just like, what's going on? Like I know this
People,
is the same Wonder Woman that I saw in 2017. I know this is not Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman. I don't know who this Wonder Woman is. I don't know what's going on, but this isn't it. Stop playing with me. I was just like, oh my god, yo.
to this day, I still crack up thinking about it. And the thing about it is, you weren't ready for it, right? Because you just came out of
Yeah,
Time of Skira, right? Time of
yeah,
Skira, it was good. I mean, it was,
yeah.
and then you just go.
And you know what bothered me because,
Went to that scene.
because like the first Wonder Woman is so good. It's so good. So you go to this, like, okay, here we go. And then you get that mall scene. And like, you're like, oh hell no, 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 no. And then you're like, oh no, this is 2.5 hours. Oh no.
To this day, I still crack up thinking about that movie, man.
Oh, it is
Oh my god.
awful. You're like, yo, this is trash.
She literally went back to the 80s. She literally went back to I can't believe she did that.
She's like, what?
Oh god.
It was horrible,
Maybe
bro.
I just like,
Like, no more, no mas, no mas.
oh my god, it's so funny. I laughed at that. And there were several moments in the movie where it just caught me. I didn't expect that,
Yeah,
because the first Wonder Woman movie, yeah, there was some humor in it and stuff, and that's cool. And there was some kooky things that happened in it, but for the most part, it stayed grounded.
yeah.
Patty said, "Forget being grounded.
Yeah. This is a cartoon.
Forget physics. Forget everything." That desert scene. Oh my God, the desert scene when she's
Oh my,
running and you see the background at a different speed.
yeah. You see, was it like wasn't like
Oh
the
my
it's dummies? Like she saved a bunch of dummies when she's like cradling them and stuff like that.
God.
It's like what the
Oh,
heck?
it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Oh my
Oh
God.
my goodness, it's so bad.
I'd never seen anything like that, but I knew she was supposedly recreating what Richard Donner had done in Superman 1979. But she like literally did it. Like I couldn't believe that. Like those were moments where I thought, well, maybe you captured the sentiment of it, but you keep the technology. But nope, she literally went there. She
No,
went
because
there.
like, she fired Zack's stunt team. That's why the
But
action is so
why?
horrendous. I don't know.
Why? Makes no
I wish I
sense.
knew.
Because Patty doesn't do action. She said, that's
No,
not her thing. So why would you fire or not hire them again? I mean, that maybe to
uh,
cut costs. It's still I don't understand. I like
yeah. Well, I think Jeff Johns maybe had like a much more prominent role in this movie
yeah, yeah, yeah,
than 2017. So I think that's why. Oh,
yeah.
but that
I
mall
feel
scene,
you.
good lord, that mall scene is, oh, it's so bad.
Oh my God! I'd never
Good
seen
lord,
anything like that in a while.
I was just like, yeah, I was just like,
Marvel
what
doesn't
is
do
happening?
that. Marvel doesn't. Marvel at least lets their characters look good.
Yeah,
Okay, they look good when they're doing action. It's eye catching.
yeah.
This was not eye catching. This
And
was hilarious.
I'm sure Zack Snyder was just like, what is going on in this movie? He's like, what is
He,
happening?
he said he cried in the movie. He said he cried with the moment with uh the lead antagonist and his son.
Yeah, oh, okay. I think he cried watching that mall scene. I think that's why he was crying. I think he just doesn't want to say.
He said his favorite scenes was the Thymoscuria opening scene, and he said something else. There's two scenes.
Oh, I think
I
the
mean,
when I think when she had to renounce her wish with Steve Trevor.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a good scene. Except for the running, that running was awful. I was like, oh my lord.
Oh my God! I'm not gonna lie to you. It kind of blew my mind
Yeah,
because I don't expect that in movies, right? I didn't expect that level of like
trash.
uh I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just the level of like cinematography was like, what is that?
Yeah, it was horrendous.
Yeah, it threw me, and I took me out of the movie for a minute or two. I mean, I still followed the story and everything, but and the thing about it is the story she's telling, and even the lesson in the story is a really good one. Like it's a
Yeah,
very important lesson.
yeah,
But unfortunately, if you don't, there's one thing: superhero movies at least get the action right, right?
yeah.
So even if you have plot holes and all that, that's excusable. But the action, if you don't get the action right, it throws everything off.
Yeah, especially for a character named Wonder Woman, you would expect the action
Right?
to be good.
You
But
expect, that's what Wonder Woman, her sequences are generally very unique.
yeah,
So it was something. It was quite a ride. Wonder Woman '84.
it was something.
But I respect
Something
I
not good.
respect Patty. I respect Patty for more power to
Yeah,
Patty, man. Patty,
yeah,
you took a risk right there. That was a big one.
yeah. Patty, I don't know what you were smoking, Patty, but don't do that again.
No, please don't. Please,
But Christian
please
Disciple,
don't.
I have to go. But
Yes,
thank you
brother.
so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. And yeah,
And
man,
anytime you
appreciate
want me, if I can hop on as a guest on your channel, I'll be very happy to do so
it.
as well.
Please,
Or
please,
just hop in. I'll just hop on.
yeah, please. You're welcome anytime, man. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks, man. You
This
have a
was
blessed day and
fantastic.
stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a blessed day, man. Take care. And yeah, man. Like I said, you're welcome anytime. Just let me know.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Definitely will follow up on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too. Yeah. So this was great. This was great to have the truth in here and talking with me. That was great. And hopefully more of you would come on here. More of you, I don't care who you are, where you come from, what background, whether you're prominent or not prominent in the movement, whether you're in the movement or you're not in the movement, you're invited to come through and talk here, man. It's always a good thing to have a conversation with people about stuff that we're passionate about. Uh, uh, just going through a couple more things here very quickly. So we went through Ben Affleck's Batman. Obviously, a big fan is the truth. Big Ben Affleck fan. So Joe Manchinero, Ben Affleck, that movie coming out would be tremendous. Maybe a series, maybe a series that ends in the cinema, maybe the finales in the cinema. Who knows? Um, but just wanted to talk a little bit, just a little bit more about the state of Warner Brothers Pictures. Particularly, we want to focus on the Flash movie that's coming up. The Flash movie was supposed to be a movie in which we had multiple Batmans, multiple Supermen, Supergirl, and a number of other characters that are associated with the Flash. But as we see, RayFisher recently, as we know, did his interview with THR. We already talked about some of the details of that. One of them being that how he was treated by Joss Whedon, how Joss Whedon was enabled by John Berg and Jeff Johns. And even when they go to the higher ups to get recourse, particularly the PR people, that they didn't get much recourse. It was still being exploitation there. And yeah, Ray Fisher is not an inside Hollywood person. Zack Snyder's not an inside Hollywood either. You know, a lot of people associated, like even Christopher Nolan, is not really an insider Hollywood guy. These guys just make the pictures, they make the movies, whatever. And one of the things is Ray Fisher was removed from the Flash movie. Okay, and even though that script was originally always had Cyborg as a character there. Now we all heard that Jeff Johns had done a veiled threat to Ray Fisher, saying that he was expendable as as a cyborg, and that he would put in another cyborg. In true form, we've had another cyborg already, and that's in Doom Patrol. Excellent actor, etc. We haven't forgot that now. Now, the thing about it is, seeing what went down in Justice League, a lot of fans have been saying that they want to boycott the upcoming Flash movie. Now, I personally will not be boycotting anything, okay? I, as a fan, believe that movies should get a fair shake. While I didn't go and watch Aquaman nor Shazam, it wasn't because, or I think back then I think I said I was going to boycott it, and I was probably pushing for it initially, and then I turned around and I changed my mind. Me personally, though, I'm not going to go on the boycott route. That's not the way to go. Whoever wants to go see the Flash, go see the Flash. But I don't know if I'll go see the Flash because I know myself. And I know, one, the Flash movie looks like it's a mess, one. Two, the Flash movie, unless I have impetus or, excitement to go see a movie, why would I go watch it? And I know Ezra Miller is going to be in the Flash, but that's not enough for me to go want to see the Flash. Jason Momoa was in Aquaman, and I didn't go see Aquaman. The director, what's his name? The director of Shazam is a good guy. I was following him. I still didn't go see Shazam. You got to, Harley Quinn, great actor in Suicide Squad. I still didn't go watch Harley Quinn, the Harley Quinn. I did go see Wonder Woman 84, and I didn't go see it again. So my point being that I don't know. I'm not really at this time when it comes to the Warner Brothers projections and movies. I don't know if I'll go see them. I promised that I would go see James Wan's Suicide Squad because James Wan is supporting the movement. So on principle, I'll go see it and show him some love. But to be honest with you, once again, and once COVID is not interrupting things, I'm not really looking forward to it. It doesn't really do anything for me. Now, some people, it's doing a lot for them. But I'm not really, I've seen 2 trailers now of Suicide Squad. I'm not really hyped for it. So it's not surprising if I am not hyped for the Flash movie either, you know? And that's sad because I should be, but I'm not. And then the fact that Ray did this interview with the Hollywood Reporter and spoke about things that were going on, which were just atrocious and toxic on the set of Justice League. And not to mention, not just Justice League, but also it happened on Krypton, as well as it happened on the sets of the CW, okay? With black actors and certain people who have been around the situation with Justice League. And the fact that several other actors who are, and people were cut from that movie. And all of them people of color. Most of them people of color. So I don't really I don't know if I how I feel about the Flash movie, because as of now, the only person of color that would have been in the Flash movie would have been Cyborg, which would have been Ray Porter, and that character has been cut from the movie, as far as we know. So there's just Warner Brothers seems to be going down the same line that they have been going down since Suicide Squad. Micromanaging things, uh, not really trying to make steps to do things that the fans want them to do. There's not been a Man of Steel solo film since the first Man of Steel solo film. Fans have been asking for that. Fans got excited about New Gods. They canceled. Ava DuVernay is not doing New Gods anymore. Again, maybe there's a possibility she could do New Gods in the Snyderverse. There's a lot of potential for the Snyderverse. And just to go through this point, the Snyderverse, right, is made up of not just Zack Snyder's films. Yes, Justice League 2 and 3, we want to see that in the Snyderverse. Those are sequels to this movie. But we also want to see David Ayer's Suicide Squad. We want either a Deathstroke movie or a Batfleck movie with Deathstroke in it. We want to see these movies. We want to see a Cyborg movie. We want a Man of Steel follow-up solo movie. We want to see a Black Adam crossover Justice League movie. Right? So there's a lot of scope and place for the Snyderverse. Not to mention all of the and the New Gods movie, of course. There's a lot of follow through you can have with different movies. Right? The New Gods movie is very important because now you're talking High Father, Orion, you're talking, Apocalypse, New Genesis. You can go into the bigger scheme of things. You can even speak about the old gods in the New Gods movie, so you can get to know the origins of all these things. And that's what we want. We want these kinds of stuff. Now, does it mean that I will not be watching anything that is kind of down the lines of what Warner Brothers is pitching? I'm excited for the Black Adam movie. That's 2022 apparently. The other set of movies, not so much. And it's not to say that those movies won't be good or whatever, but it's just my excitement level for them is at zero at this present time. You know what I mean? So that's what Restore the Snyderverse is all about. It's about a set of movies that go along a certain line that Warner Brothers doesn't want to explore. So whether it's the New Gods movie that they don't explore anymore, whether it's the Justice League 2 and 3, which they say is a cul-de-sac, or whether it's the Batfleck movie, which we want to see, or the Deathstroke movie, or the Cyborg movie, or the those movies. Those that's slate of movies. Those are what we call the Snyderverse movies. Okay, because of course the Snyderverse is not canon according to uh, Warner Brothers Pictures. When I say this, it makes me laugh because it just makes no sense. But it is what it is. Um, Now, what's the state of Warner Brothers streaming service and AT&T? Very strong. Zack Snyder's Justice League just made Warner Brothers HBO Max a player in the big scheme of things. They still have some catching up to do with Netflix and Disney Plus, which are got a lot more subscribers, but they're catching on and they're growing really rapidly, faster than those two. And so Warner Media side of things, when it comes to the streaming service side, they're in a really good position, and I am pretty sure they're going to definitely make sure that they can work with Zack Snyder to get his universe going, and whatever way they have to go about doing it, whether it's through streaming a series or through going to cinemas. There's a way and there's a will, but it needs probably just need to get the sponsorship, the right sponsors, the right shareholders to invest in this. And I think Jason Keel probably could be pretty effective at getting that shaken up. With respect to something I didn't get to talk to the truth about, is that there's a gag order on Jason Keeler. So Toby Emmerich and companies, he put a gag order on them so they can't actually talk. This came from Mikey Sutton of Geekosity. So that's what is happening. That's why they're not saying anything. But they're through the roof with how successful Zack Snyder Justice League is so far. So what can we do as fans? Let me wrap it up. Again, hashtag restore the Snyderverse. You know, make sure that Zack Snyder's Justice League trilogy, that's 2 and 3, are completed. First course of action, though, for us is to release the air cut. There is a petition online to restore the Snyderverse. We should really still sign that petition. It's all for posterity and history. Those of you who are subscribed to HBO Max, stay subscribed to HBO Max. And just look forward to the green lighting of Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, as well as other Snyderverse movies like David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Most importantly, to support the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and Feeding America, we need to continue to do so as fans. We need to continue to help and support each other. Those people who support the movement, James Gunn, Christopher Nolan, and other verifieds, we should have them support, keep on backing them. By the way, though, the guy from Cinema Blend, who has the book Restore the, Release the Snyder Cut, his book on that, that guy is not, he's not genuine. Okay, right now he's trying to get the Snyderverse closed off, and we are fighting for it to be restored. So he's not with us, and never thought he was with us. I thought he was just profiteering off of us. So guys, just remember that the guy from Cinema Blend who has his book, Release the Snyder Cut, I don't trust him. So I'm just letting you guys know that's the head is up. Focus on your passion. Enjoy the ride. History continues to be made. HBO Max, AT&T, and WB Pictures focus on Batman. It's kind of overcooked, don't you think? Well, as you clearly see, there's a market for Batman. So I guess Warner Brother Pictures side of things, the theatrical side of things, they're going to have a Batman movie that's coming out. And I'm sure there's a lot of fervent interest for that. That's Matt Reeves' Batman. But I don't see why HBO Max can't have the Snyder Cut or Snyderverse Batman that's done by Ben Affleck. I know Ben Affleck is going to be very enthusiastic to do that once he's not harassed by Jeff Johns or anybody, Toby Emmerich or any one of those other people, executives on the other side of the court. So Once we can get him across to HBO Max, I'm pretty sure he knows about this already. But anyway, so that pretty much wraps up what we're going to talk about tonight. It was nice having you guys on here. Special shout out to The Truth. By the way, check out his channel. His channel is The Truth One. Hold on a second. The Truth 31. So The Truth 31 is his channel. Just type in The Truth 31 on YouTube and you can find him. Really, really good channel, and I am subscribed to it. You guys should check it out. In the news, he comes up with all the news, and it's really good stuff. Um, that's basically it for tonight. Hope you guys have a good week. We are in the middle of the week now, Wednesday, the 7th of April. The 7th of April, 2021. The year is flying like a bullet. I hope that you guys stay safe. Also, watch out for the AstraZeneca vaccine. It can cause blood clots, and that could be a problem. I don't know if people are going to think about before you use the vaccine, maybe having blood thinners or something. But be careful with that. But if you're using any other brand, you should be okay, more or less. But as AstraZeneca brand, it's a touch and go. I hope you guys have a great week. As I said before, stay safe. And I am Christ, I am disciple. I hope you have it, guys. Wish you guys everything that's good, all the best. The only thing I got to say that before I cap off tonight is a piece of scripture, as I tried to always do a piece of scripture. And a piece of scripture, it comes from the book of Psalms. It says, may his peace be with you until we meet again. All right? So that's it. Peace be unto you until we meet again. You guys have a good one.